Well, the race to get into space is getting tighter. The Canadian Space Agency got 5,300 applications the last time it advertised for would-be astronauts. They are now down to 50 semifinalists. Ultimately, some of the winners will end up on Space Station Freedom. That's the space station which will be circling the Earth for months at a time. We have two of the candidates with us this morning. Joining us from Montreal is Julie Payette, who is a research engineer with Bell Northern, and here in our Halifax studio is Captain John McManus of the Canadian Air Force. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Okay, let's start off with you, Mr. McManus. I understand we've got some audio difficulties to Montreal. Mr. McManus, you're down to the short list now, from 5,300 down to 50. Do you feel excited about having made the short list, or is this where the pressure really starts now?
Well, it's a two-pronged thing. I'm excited to be there, but the quality of the 50 candidates is very high, and I know that they're only going to choose up to 6. So it still means there's a long way to go, so I'm trying not to get excited too early.
Yeah, actually, the academic level is pretty high, isn't it? I think out of the number of candidates, 62% of them had PhDs?
Yes, it's very high. It was a pleasure just to talk to the different candidates because they were all such experts in their fields.
Why do you want to be an astronaut? Is this something that you have thought about since you were a kid, or is it something that you turned your attention to when the Canadian government said we're looking for more astronauts?
Well, I turned my attention to it when the Canadian government said we're hiring astronauts, but I'd always wanted to be an astronaut. Unfortunately, there was never an avenue in the 50s, 60s, and 70s for a Canadian to grow up and say, I want to fly. It wasn't possible until the 80s. So I basically said, I'd love to fly, but that's why I joined the Air Force as opposed to trying to get into the space program earlier on.
Have they told you what the qualifications are to be an astronaut? Do you have to have a certain background before you have any hope at all of even getting to this short list?
No. Basically, the qualifications that they were looking for was to be a Canadian citizen, to have a degree in science, engineering, math, physics, and to have 3 years work experience in a scientific field. So they were very general in what they were looking for. The tough thing that they have to do now is go through the 50 files, assess them, and come up with what they're looking for, because I think they're trying, it's very difficult to compare us because we all have such diverse backgrounds.
What is your background? Obviously, you're with the military. What other degrees, background do you bring to the application?
Well, my first degree was in mechanical engineering from Royal Military College in Kingston, Ontario. My second degree was from the U.S. Navy Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, where I took a master's in oceanography.
And have they told you exactly what is the position you're applying for? I mean, do you know what it is you'll be doing if you were to get the job, or is that yet to be determined?
They told us that what will happen is we will be grouped in with the other existing astronauts. Then they will select 2 mission specialists, which will go to Houston to train for up to 5 years to actually work the orbiter systems, do things like extravehicular activity, spacewalks, repair engines on the shuttle, launch and repair satellites. So 2 Canadians will get to do that. The rest will probably be trained as mission specialists, and what will happen is they will fly on an as-available basis. We're basically still negotiating for flights, and they've told us that if chosen, we might not necessarily ever fly.
Okay. You might not fly at all ever.
That's right.
I think we've got the audio link established with Montreal now. Julie Payette, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, how are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your background. I was just asking Mr. McManus a bit about some of his qualifications that he's bringing to the job, or the application for the job. Well, what's your background?
My background is a technical background. I'm an engineer. I work at Bell Northern Research in Montreal. And I work in speech recognition technology, and mostly with computer software, really. Now
you're down to, one of the 50 applicants that are left. You've been put there from 5,300 who originally applied. How do you feel at this point about your chances?
About the chances, I never want to believe it too much. I'm just very excited about the whole process. This week particularly is very exciting with the press conference and the panel interview, and I'm just looking forward to see what's going to come out of it, and hopefully get to the Ottawa week, which is the final selection for the astronaut contest.
Ms. Payette, is this strictly a decision that will be made by the Canadian Space Agency, or does NASA get involved in the final selection? How does that work?
It's strictly a decision that will be made by the Canadian Space Agency. NASA is not involved, at least not to my knowledge.
What have the two of you been through so far to get down to this semifinal cut of 50? Mr. McManus, what have you had to do so far to show that you are capable of moving on with the numbers?
Well, from the level of 400, what they did is they did basically a psychological assessment, a medical assessment, a security assessment, and they looked at our academic background. That pared us down to 100. At the 100 stage, they did a more comprehensive psychological assessment, and then they interviewed us to basically see if we were the kind of candidate they were looking for. From that assessment, they went to 50, and from 50, they're looking at the results of our board panel, letters from references, and compiling it all to try and come up with a list of 20 by the 20th of May.
Ms. Payette, I remember Roberta Bondar, our last Canadian who was in space, who had said, you know, that it's quite a time commitment involved here. She basically had to put her life on hold for 5 or 6 years while she was part of the program in order to be selected to be one to travel into space. What do you think about that sort of time commitment? Is that something you worry about at all, or?
I think it's something that everyone that applies to this type of job knows in advance. If we do get to the end and if we do get accepted, it will involve a lot of change, some sort of sacrifice. Putting your life on hold is a good term, but this is something that we're committed to do because we're very keen on participating in the Canadian space program.
Now, you say that there are going to be 6 who will be chosen, Mr. McManus, at the end of the day, at the end of the selection process. When would one of those 6 or some of those 6 actually go to space?
Well, the actual decision will be up to 6. They have not confirmed that 6 will be chosen. But the first ones could go probably as early as 2 or 3 years from now. But that has yet to be decided.
And is that all part, Ms. Payette, of this Space Station Freedom program that we've been hearing about? Is that the involvement of this round of Canadian astronauts?
I think it is indeed. One of the main aspects of this election will have to choose the future astronaut that will man the 3% time that the Canadian Space Agency has on the Freedom Orbital Station. But it will also involve some missions on the shuttles as well of Canadian astronauts.
How's your family and friends reacting to the fact that you're now down to one of 50 and might possibly be heading into space, Ms. Payette?
Well, they're very happy. I would say that some members of the family are a bit worried of the risk involved, but they're very happy and very supportive, certainly. It's very exciting.
Mr. McManus?
Similar, most people are a little worried about just the fear of traveling in space. For me, I've been an aviator for 15 years, so I always try to convince them that flying is not inherently dangerous.
So you should know by June, I'm told.
That's correct.
Thanks very much for being with us. Good luck to both of you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
We've been talking today with Julie Payette, a research engineer with Bell Northern in Montreal, and also Captain John McManus of the Canadian Air Force in our Halifax studio. They again are among the 50 Canadians who are candidates to become astronauts.
And let's take a quick look at our weather forecast.